Jai Hind doston. I am Major Mohammed Ali Shah, and today I feel truly honored and blessed and very lucky that I have such a renowned personality, someone who I revere and look up to as my elder brother, someone who's been a mentor to me, someone who I have really admired, and I've enjoyed watching him perform, be it on screen, but even better on stage. And someone who is, of course, many of us are one of our favorite actors who needs no introduction. Yes, Adil Husain bhai. Adil bhai, thank you very much for taking out time. I truly appreciate this gesture of yours.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure for myself to be here with you, Ali. And
Thank you,
let's
Adil.
let's begin the conversation.
Superb. Adil bhai, let's start from your childhood. So, were you always a child eager to perform, to come up on stage, to be there? And how was it? Like, did you always have the passion for acting right from your childhood because you are a master craftsman of your trade?
No, nowhere near mastery, Ali. Uh,
Very modest.
your uncle, your uncle Nasuddin Shah ji, he was my teacher. He is a master. I am a student of acting, and I am still struggling with so many things. My childhood, yes, I had been a clown of the house. I used to always imitate my teachers, my father, my brothers, and had been also very lucky to watch a lot of performances, theater performances in our town. Assam, probably unlike quite a lot of other states, apart from very few in Kerala or Maharashtra, maybe, that had a lot of theater happening in Assam. Music groups, dance groups, theater, music bands. So I grew up in a very culturally vibrant environment. And in our house, art was extremely popular in terms of songs. My father was a devotee of Tagore, and he used to listen to Tagore recitations. He used to recite himself, and he was a big fan of literature, world literature, and Indian literature, Assamese and Bengali and English and all that. So, being a student of the kindergarten, I was given this opportunity to act in a play. That was my first play, a formal play. Play, in a sense, it was like a skit, half an hour. And that sort of made me fall in love. That was like the forbidden fruit that I had eaten, and you know, uh, committed the sin, and got the virus of acting, and I just still infected.
Good man. I love your sense of humor. So how old were you that time, Adil bhai?
I was 8 years old. I was
Oh, wow.
eight.
Oh, wow.
And it was magical when I was on the stage. I could not believe that thrill, the excitement, the fact that people are watching you, and also that the fact that generally, which is very similar story uh, with your uncle, that nobody used to think that I'm good enough, or good for nothing. And so when people are watching you on the stage, you feel like important. Your ego is a bit, sort of inflated, and then you feel that you're doing something worthwhile. My father did not like me practicing acting for the simple reason that he thought I should become an academic, and go for master degree in English and teach acting. So he was not he loved art, so it was nothing to do with that. It's just the economical future of his youngest son was very worrisome. The bacha paisa kaise kamayega, how will he earn his living? That was the worry. But I continued acting every year, in the annual sports, as they say. Though it's called annual sports, but there used to be theater performances and debate and extempore speeches. which I used to participate, and always spoke in English. Though, I mean, the English is like considered the language of the um, it's a rich language, or the colonial hangover that we all have. Now, unless you can speak English, you have reached nowhere. So that is, I have a problem with that, huge problem. But at the same time, it's a language. If you know, then it helps you travel across the globe. It helps you to read a lot of books, and it should be looked at as a language and not a status symbol, and which I find it very, very irritating and extremely, what do you call it? Not a good thing to believe in that. So that went on, and finally I decided that okay, this is what I love to do, and I'll continue doing it. And I did it, in spite of all the oppositions of all kinds of things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Your father always wanted you to become an academic person and to teach. Ultimately, that also came true. You have been a visiting faculty at NSD, in fact, your alma mater. And some of my best friends have been trained by you and they swear by you. So that way, yes. So, Adil bhai, so tell me your journey about when you came into NSD after. How did you come to know? And was the first you had heard about that there is an institution like the NSD which trains actors and theater personalities?
Yeah, no, I had no clue. I mean, those days, of course, no communication, no internet, nothing. So, and also grew up in this small little town, which was far away from the mainstream India or the mainland India. India, Northeast, as you have served in the Northeast, you would know that the entire Northeast is connected through this corridor of 27 kilometers. Bhutan and Bangladesh in between, and it's sort of sandwich between Bhutan and Bangladesh, that tiny little part which is connected to the Northeast. So things used to reach much later, including newspapers, which is to come like 3 days later to our town. So growing up there was no way for me to know there is a National School of Drama and they teach you acting. And if you are a graduate of National School of Drama, it is considered a graduation. And if you have if you have a graduation, if you go there, then it's considered master degree. So I came to know from one of my senior co-actor of a film. I started acting in Asmi's films, and he told me that you should apply for National School of Drama because you're asking me so many questions, and I'll not be able to answer them. So why don't you try that? And he said you have to be at least 10 plus 2 to apply, and I thought I'm already a 10 plus 2. So I applied for National School of Drama, and I'm so lucky, Ali, and I cannot thank my stars and thank my fate and all the people, those who have helped me, that in one go, I got into it out of 20 people selected from across the country and neighboring countries, because 2 seats are reserved for our neighboring countries' foreign students. And I got through in general category because there are also SC, ST, and OBC seats, and some seats are reserved for at least 5 to 6 girls out of 20. So all that, after that I am one of the guys who is selected. This is just pure luck. I would say, yes, I have put in a lot of work, but I think I'm very lucky, and I always praise the Almighty for that.
Ask me about it. 2 attempts, 2001 and 2002. Both the times reaching the NSD 4-day workshop, residing at the hostel, but not being selected to come and study at NSD. But yet, I consider myself fortunate that I could do some workshops and I could be part of some workshops at the NSD where I could pick up something from seniors like you and from Nasir Saab and people who were there. So Adil bhai, so tell me, when you came into NSD, how was your experience? Like, was it something which you had already trained by virtue of doing so many plays? Because obviously, if you had got through NSD, you obviously had done over 10 plays. So was it something totally new, something which you weren't accustomed with earlier? new techniques you learned, or was it just more practice into theater?
No, it was totally, it blew my mind. I never thought that acting is so vast. It is so deep. It is so complex. It is almost the study of entire humanity. I had no clue that I have to study the history of art, history of literature, ancient and modern, and history of art right from the cave painting to postmodernism, history of theater architecture, of course, the other things like history of acting since the time Greek, Western the history of acting in terms of the Greek tragedies and comedies, from ancient Indian, from Tayyam to Natyashastra to Kudiyattam, and coming to the modern ways of acting, because things have changed. Art is constantly changing, like we are changing. Everything is changing in the universe. So to keep that in mind, to understand, to have a perspective about how human beings started behaving the way that we are behaving now. How did that happen? What are the factors? What are the reasons that human beings behave the way they behave right now? So the history of then anthropological understanding of humanity. So it was a monumental task for me, because I wasn't actually I was a good student, but I was not interested in studying. I was interested in acting. I didn't, even in my wildest dream, I ever thought that I had to study so much. But because it was related to acting, so I dove into it, and I was must say that I sort of surrendered to my teachers. And I would also probably suggest all these amazing actors that India now is seeing, and those who are student of acting, um, they should probably have this attitude of surrender. You know, can you hear me? Because I can see a
Yes, I can hear
little.
you. I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay.
Right.
Because my internet is a bit poor here. I'm in a small little
Okay.
place in Kerala.
Okay.
Um, so surrendering to your teacher makes you learn faster, as simple as that. Even the teacher is not, if you think from your point of view, not good enough. But if you have decided to come to NSD, and there are teachers who had been organized by NSD, but if you go in with the attitude of surrendering to do the things they ask you to do, and then you come up with an experience, even to understand that this is what you don't want to do. So I had been a very obedient student. To be able to take instruction from somebody from outside, to learn the obedience part of it. Obedience means it's not necessarily that you have to start listening to somebody else. You also have to learn to listen to yourself. So to be able to listen that, okay, now you feel like looking to your left, and you look to your left, you feel like looking at the person who you are talking to. I'm talking about a given space. Suppose you are acting in a scene and you feel like doing certain things, but out of fear or hesitation or inhibition, you are not following those impulses. That means you are not obedient to your inner instructions, which you are getting from within, the impulses that you are, which is sort of springing out from yourself. You're not listening to them, then you become a bad actor. Like the
Hmm.
impulses and the delay in following the impulses makes you a bad actor. Following the impulses makes you a better actor. Not, I'm not saying you become a great actor, because there are other stages to go to make sure that you become one of the greatest person in terms of following orders from within and how deep you are. So all these aspects, which of course I have found much later in my further studies after I graduated from NSD. But during NSD times, like teachers like Khalid Tayyib and Barry John and Maya Rao, then Robin Das and Arjun Raina, Shopan Boshu, and of course at the end came Mr. Nasiruddin Shah. who sort of put us straight back to basics. A wonderful, wonderful exercise called action problem to follow your impulses, governed by these five W's: who, where, when, what, and why, and what do you want. So all these things were fascinating for me. It was mind-boggling. I'm like, wow, what a profession I'm in. I'm like, am I not the luckiest bastard on the planet? I am, that I am getting all these amazing grooming, amazing teachers from across the globe, not only from India, but also Shakespeare is being taught by a person from England who has done Shakespearean, expert in Shakespearean language, and someone from Russia, someone came from Germany, someone came from Italy, clowning and commedia dell'arte. So NSD sort of opened up my entire horizon. People who say that NSD didn't teach, maybe they went in another era, but the era that I went in, the time that I went in, and from our time for at least next 10 years, those teachers were there who were extreme. Anamika Haksar, sorry, I forgot to mention her name. She is a graduate from the topmost drama school probably ever existed in the world, called Moscow Art Theater, where Stanislavski founded that, the father of modern Indian acting, modern acting in the world. So our batch was the luckiest one, and I am one of the luckiest one amongst in the batch because I felt that the ability to give time to myself in order to come earlier than the classes start and stay back till 2 in the night, 2 in the morning, which sort of helped me so much to learn. Yeah, I mean, I would say that it was I got a rebirth. I was reborn there as a person. Actor, of course, I was not I mean, I just intuitively acted whatever I did before that. But the depth and the vastness and the horizon that it sort of increased in NSD, I am ever, ever indebted and in gratitude to all these amazing people.
Wow, that's some passion. That is what is passion. Being the first one to be there and staying on till 2 a.m. That's really
Yeah.
amazing. Adil bhai, you spoke about your various mentors, and I will subsequently I'll come to it. In fact, when you mentioned about Arjun Raina also, got you to train the people at Genpact in the year 2001 when I was an employee in Genpact in the call center when I had not got through NSD. So one fine day I saw Adil bhai walking this long coat of his in winters. I'm like, Adil bhai. And we had just done a workshop with Nasir Saab, when you were talking about his Stanislavski, his exercise, the imagination exercise and the action problem and all. So and then you told me that you were training the trainers over here in communications and such things. Okay, so first we will come to that. But tell me, after NSD, when you were just about to pass out, was there a lot of anxiety into you because you were getting a decent stipend while you were there? So in a way, it might be small, but you were earning some money as a student as well at NSD. So now when you were about to pass out from NSD, what was coming to your mind that, okay, I have to fend for a living, we have to get a job, what do we have to do? So was there anxiety? Was there insecurity? How was it like?
I don't recollect certain anxiety, but for the simple reason, probably that even before I graduated from NSD, I got a scholarship to study acting in England. You know, so when I was in my last 2 months in NSD, the last semester, uh, I applied. Well, out of the blue, someone said, "Oh, there is some scholarship. Would you like to apply?" I said, "Why not? What do I have to do to apply?" Then Arjun Raina said, "You have to write a letter of intent. Why do you want to go to England?" And I had genuine questions. So I said, "Would you help me writing?" He said, "No, you write it. I will help your English a little bit, but not what you want to write. The content has to come from you. I will correct the grammar and the English language a little bit." I said, "Okay." So I wrote. I had questions, genuine questions, about acting, that what is it that how do I go into deep characterization, how do I change my, of course I have learned quite a lot in NSD, but at the same time I had unresolved questions, unresolved problems that I was facing myself, which are very specific to me. Maybe all the other classmates of mine found their answers, but I haven't. Quite a lot of them, subtle things. So I sort of wrote it down and I applied, and British Council is to facilitate that India Festival Award, or it's called Charles Wallace Trust Award, scholarship. So I sent the letter and I forgot about it. Within a month, I got a call from my director. And then those days, Mrs. Kirti Jain, who used to also teach us modern Indian drama, who called me and said, Adil, you got the scholarship. Now we have to find a school to go. I was like, oh, okay. So what happened was that instantly I was not thinking about, oh, what I'm going to do, because this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to further study acting. So I got that. And then when I came back from London, this anxiety could have, you know, sort of drowned me in a way. But as soon as I landed, then the chief of repertory company, Mr. Ram Gopal Bajaj, who loved me very, very much, still loves me. And he said, Adil, दो option है तुम्हारे पास. I mean, I didn't even ask. He said, Adil, तुम्हारे पास दो option है. एक तो है कि तुम repertory join कर सकते हो. दूसरा है कि एक film है जिसमें तुम काम कर सकते हो. तो मैंने कहा ना film करते हैं. So I did that film, but it never got released. It never got made actually fully. Then I said, okay, now I'm back. So I joined National School of Drama, a repertory company, as a casual artist. And then in the process, I realized that this is not happening. I want to learn more because I had questions. Then Khalid Tayyib ji, he was performing in a play called The Fool's Song. And I saw the play and I was bowled by his work. And I thought, this is the kind of actor I would like to be. He taught us in NSD, but I never understood. Of course, it was in my body, but I did not intellectually understand what he was teaching us, why he was making us do what, he was making us do. I thought maybe just flexibility and blah, 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 and all that, and the voice, and, to gain some range of the voice. But then later I realized, my God, the way he trained us is already there inside me. And the way he used that skill or that expression of physical vocal language that he has found in a play, which was mind-boggling. So I went up to him and I said, sir, I would like to work with you. And if you don't mind, how can I do that? Then he suggested that I should have a motorbike and 100,000 rupees. I'm like, okay, where do I get 100,000 rupees? I don't have even 100 rupees in my pocket. And I didn't know how to get 100,000 rupees. But then as I keep talking about it quite fondly, quite often to most of the people when I'm interviewed, that when there is a will, there is a way. You have. So I found a way to join to go to Assam and join this commercial theater, and I earned 160,000 rupees after I performed every evening for 9 months, and some very bad plays, really badly written plays. And one of them was very good, but rest of them were terrible plays. So I cribbed every day, and I cursed myself every day. But I was looking at the paycheck. I was like, oh no, this money I need to work with Khalid. So I have to do this sincerely. I did it absolutely sincerely. And I learned a lot from that, in spite of my cribbing. I learned how to, not only learn, I was questioning in more details, forget about getting answers, that how does one actor keep his performance lively and spontaneous when the actor is performing in the same role for 9 months? How do I do that? And the problems that I was facing, I was noting down, okay, this is the problem I face. In certain places, I am alive. In certain places, I'm just repeating what I did yesterday. How do I get out of it and make it more make it spontaneous for myself. So those questions and certain ways that I already found but didn't work after a few days, that okay, I use this particular association which Nasir Sahab taught us, but sometimes after some time, after some days, I found it why it's not working. Maybe I'm not following the instruction properly. So all kinds of a gamut of questions and aspects of acting that I thought I need to learn more. So I earned that money, went back to Khalid, and we started working together. And that continued for 3 4 years. And then we finished money. And then again, I ended up in Amsterdam out of the blue. And also that time,
Adil Bhai has got logged out. I think there was some network error, but since he had gone with Mr. Khalid Tayabji to Hampi, and he spent a long time there learning the craft from Khalid Tayabji, observing him under his mentorship, learning from him. And there is a lot of pearls of wisdom which he got to learn from him. And just the way Adil Bhai was speaking just now, that when an actor should keep his impulses open, which means in a way, perhaps what he meant was spontaneity. We'll clarify this when he comes back. But Adil Bhai has had a very, very inspiring journey. Very inspiring journey. He's been a mentor to me. And in fact, he was the one who got me the role in Agent Vinod, where he was the lead villain. And Saif Ali Khan at that time and Kareena Kapoor were there. Saif was producing it along with Dinesh Vijayan. And Saif asked Adil Bhai, where were you all these years? Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And then someone told him, oh, he was in the jungle in Hampi. He was learning under the guidance of Khalid Tayabji. Like, oh God, Khalid Tayabji is an amazing figure. Anyway, about his motorbike story when he was telling you, Adil Bhai has a flair for bikes, and I've seen his bike. He's got a modified petrol tank which can take in a lot of fuel. And one day he went to meet Nasir Saab on that bike. I think he rode for thousands of kilometers from God knows where, and he was all after long rides. What happens, right? So he was telling this story to us. We will come to that once Adil Bhai is back, and there are a lot of interesting anecdotes. And we were doing one exercise where theatrical exercise again. But okay, let me come back before that. In late 1990s, in NSD at Abhimanch, I had seen a wonderful play. There was Barry John, there was Lucian Dubé, there was Adil Husain, there was Royston Abel, and there were amazing personalities on stage. And I got to learn from that. That play was William Shakespeare's Othello. Adil Bhai just spoke about William Shakespeare, right? So now, when I saw him perform, I knew in my mind that time, I'm talking about late 1990s, that time my cousin, Nasir Saab's daughter, Hiba Shah, was a student at NSD. So that time I told Hiba and I told everyone else that, my goodness, what an actor, what a mind-blowing actor. But unfortunately, what happened is, unless you have a bigger, larger medium, like in films, where one film you get to see a lot of people, a lot of people got to get to see your work. But theater, 100 people, 200 people, 300 people, but the joy, the satisfaction, the love of performing before a live audience is totally unmatched. So that time, very many people did not know Adil Hussain. The theater community, yes, everyone knew who Adil Hussain was. And that was my first meeting, in fact, with Adil Bhai. Adil Bhai perhaps may not even remember that. Thereafter, in the year 2001, when Nasir Saab was doing this workshop at NSD, that's the time Adil Bhai and I became close. And our relationship started from there. About 10 years after that, 2001, 2011, middle of the night, Adil Bhai gave me a call and he said, we are making a film called Agent Vinod. Would you like to act in that? I was like, of course, Adil Bhai. Is that a question to ask? Okay. I was in Gurgaon in Palam Vihar. He said, come over to Taj Mansingh right away. So my wife, my brother and I, we started driving. We went straight to Taj Mansingh. at Mansingh Road, and there Adil Bhai was there. He got me introduced to Sriram Raghavan, the director of Agent Vinod. And Sriram Raghavan, of course, I mean, he is. I figured later on that he was also a senior of my college, Ferguson College, Pune, and an illustrious alumni of FTI, Pune Film and Television Institute of India. And Sriram Raghavan Saab and I, we hit off very well. He took my audition and he finalized me for the role of a cop. That was my first brush with the 70 mm on screen with a ticketed show in a play. And that is how then they, but before that, in the year 1998 or 99, I had done a film with Saeed Mirza, who's from FTI, who came to FTI for a workshop. And I had a 3 second role in that. 3 second. I was lifting up the lights, bipod, tripod, camera. But let me see if Adil Bhai is trying to reach me. If not, then let me try calling him and see. And we send a voice note. Wait, let me hear the voice note. Wait. Otherwise, there's a lot. It's very, very interesting to be in conversation with him. And one gets to learn so much just being in conversation with him. Let me hear the voice note, what he sent.
Hi Ali, it says my phone is overheating, so I'll just wait for 5 minutes.
So you heard that his phone was overheating. So I will just return the message back and you can hear the audio. Hi Adil Bhai, no worries, no worries. I'm holding the fort until you come back. And because as you have taught many of my friends and I've learned it from you as well, and I was learning more in this conversation that, by the way, we are still live, huh, by the way, and I am recording this message live. People are hearing us, and I have made everyone hear your message. And so that's cool. That's cool, Adil Bhai. The link is alive. I will hold the fort until you come back. There is no lull. There is no pause. Don't worry. And we are waiting for you to come back. Lots of love, Adil Bhai. The one message he sent.
Hi Ali, it says my phone is overheating, so I'll just
Okay.
wait for 5 minutes.
Cool. So now,
Hi Adil Bhai, no worries, no worries. I'm holding.
yep. So yeah, the phone was overheating, and just okay. So now we were at where were we? We were at Agent Vinod, and I took 3 days off from my. We were shooting in Greater Noida. I did the scene, and I was fortunate to have that scene with Adil Bhai. So we shot for Agent Vinod, and before that, in 2001, when Adil Bhai was training the trainers. Okay, so that time Adil Bhai was training the trainers, and that is the time one realized that there is a lot more in theater which one can do apart from just coming on stage and acting and performing. There's so much. And of course, the paycheck was good. Genpact was a decent pay master. It's one of the leading multinational companies in the world. So, courtesy that, today I'm a speaker, a professional speaker, courtesy thanks to mentors and friends like Adil Bhai. I owe my TEDx talks, my motivational talks, my Josh talks, whatever, how many other talks I would have given, or my TV panel discussions, thanks to theater, because the grooming had been done in theater. So, oratory skills and reciting poetry, all is through theater only. So, anyway, so now, so I learned that, okay, yeah, one can do a lot in theater apart from just performing as an actor only. And one more thing I've learned from Adil Bhai is don't wait for things to happen to you. Make things happen. So I was, you would have noticed I was not speaking much. I was listening to Adil Bhai because I want to learn. I want to get the maximum out of him. Because if I do not listen to him, then who would be the loser? Me? You people as viewers? Trust me, guys. Whatever Adil Bhai speaks, whatever Adil Husain speaks, It is pearls of wisdom. You always get something to learn, something richer, something to take back home. And but what an inspiring journey! What an inspiring journey! Assam, small town, where newspapers come 3 days late. You are cut off from the world. You don't know what's happening there. To figuring out where NSD is and what NSD does. To while being in NSD, getting a scholarship to go abroad to learn acting further. Because acting is a process. It never stops, as Adil Bhai rightly said some time back. And then coming back, going to Hampi. That is the part which Adil Bhai, I was going to ask him, but he got disconnected, but he'll join back for sure. And so what I yes, he's back. He's back.
Hi.
Hey
Sorry.
Adil Bhai. Hi. Welcome back. As they
Thank
say,
you.
we'll meet after the break. Adil Bhai, but let me tell you, after you got disconnected, your phone got overheated. As been taught by you to many of your students, I didn't let a lull happen. I started giving a monologue about my experiences with you, and when you were speaking, I was listening. So I kept that going. So
Okay.
otherwise, we were talking about your association with Khalid Tayabji, then you went abroad. I would need to know, while you were away, I was telling them about when you were going off to Hampi to work with Khalid Tayabji. You need to know about that as you come with the flow. You go abroad, and then what happened?
Yeah. So we finished money, and then I ended up in Amsterdam out of the blue. It's a coincidental thing, and this is probably not very important right now in this particular chat. And I earned some money there. I performed, and I
Everything you
performed.
say, everything you say is very important in our channel.
No, I
It's
think
coming
in
from you.
this context, I feel that it happened so that I met some people in Jammu, and they invited me to act in their production in Amsterdam. Then once I went there, I started teaching there. Before I started teaching in NSD, I started teaching at the drama school Amsterdam and the Royal Conservative Performing Arts in The Hague, which is the capital city of Holland. And so I earned money, came back in 1998, February, I came back and I started again working with Khalid. But this time, the location was Hampi, which is North Karnataka, which is an amazing landscape, which is probably the oldest formation on the planet Earth. Like when Earth was in a molten state and things were slowly solidifying, that is the area which was together with Gondwana land, like with Africa. That is the area. Some bits went to Africa and some bits remained in India. Probably the oldest formation of the rocks that you'll find there, the 3.6 billion years old rocks. So that is Hampi, and that is geologically. And if you look at it from a mythological point of view, then it is the place where Hanuman and Sugriv and Bali, and Rama met them there. And so the entire area is called Kishkinda. And if you look at it historically, it is also the richest empire that India had, called Vijayanagar Empire. So it is, and also it is that particular space was visited by amazing amount of yogis and rishis and extremely enlightened people. So it's a very powerful place. And so I entered there without knowing anything about all these that I'm saying right now. And it struck me, I was just awestruck with the topography of the place. And it brought from sort of it sort of excavated something within me, brought out my innate and primordial nature, if I can say, that I was wild. I was extremely um, expressive, if I can put it lightly. So it went beyond that. But it helped me to also see and re-examine and reinvestigate myself, that, oh my God, I never knew that I possessed all these strong and intense emotions that I have never thought existed. Um, and also Khalid's structural training, which sort of embodied and gave that particular free flowing wild emotions, it sort of gave a structure, gave it a form, gave it an artistic expression. Otherwise, probably I would have got lost completely. It was so intense that I probably would have lost my mental balance. It was so strong. So that structure gave me it's sort of a container which held me together and helped me from disintegrating, literally disintegrating. So after that, then after 1 year, I decided to do a play. Royston Abel, who is my classmate from
Othello.
NSD,
Othello.
Othello. So immediately after that intense experience, Othello happened. So I got even a more fulfilling avenue to express myself through Shakespearean words and the body that I found from the words. So that sort of gave me that confidence, which I lacked completely, that I can act. In fact,
Come on.
when I was performing Othello one day,
Someone who had trained so much lacked the confidence that he could act. I don't believe that, Adil bhai.
but
NSD,
that was the case. Uh,
oh,
it is the truth, because I felt Amsterdam was for money, so I had to do it. Like I did the mobile theater in Assam. It's just for money. I needed money to again work with Khalid. That was the intention. Going to Amsterdam is not the intention. Intention is to come back with the money so that I can start working again on myself under
means to an
the.
end. Means to an end.
Yes, totally, means to an end. Absolutely. So Othello, but gave me that sort of audacity to have a confidence that I can act, because
Lucian Dubé
you
was
can't.
playing Desdemona.
Sorry, Lucian Dubé was playing Desdemona in those days. And also, don't forget that I come from a very small town where confidence was in very short supply. I mean, there would be people with a lot of ego, but when they are in unfamiliar foreign land or ground, in every sense of the foreign ground, not only geographical, but otherwise as well, they are extremely timid. So I
Oh God,
suffered from that.
Adil, that reminds me of a small anecdote I need to share with you. I can't but share this with you. I was flying from Guwahati to Mizoram to Aizawl, and that's the time when I had gone. Then you had given me references of your friends in Guwahati. Remember? So I was flying from Guwahati to Aizawl, and with all love and respect, I'm talking. I don't mean to offend anybody
Yes,
there.
yes, of course.
A real
Yes.
incident, and I was on the flight. So there was this man, I think first time he was traveling the flight, and he did not know how to put on a seatbelt. So I helped him that, it's very simple. And now I speak Nagamese fluently, the way I would speak English or Hindi. But he wasn't Naga, he was from Mizoram. So I helped him tie the seatbelt and such things. And he was like very timid again. He was asking, okay, how was this? How do I ask for water, whatever. But the moment we touched the airstrip in Aizawl, the moment we landed, I thought the poor guy, I mean, he would need help in opening the seat belt and I should help him with his bag and all. So I asked him, should I open it for you? You go, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I
So,
got reminded of that. I'm so sorry about that.
yeah. Also,
Right.
the linguistic barrier and the familiarity with the culture that you are encountering in different places, it sort of takes your confidence away. And it took me quite a while to gain that, regain that, and not to replace that in confidence with rude arrogance, but to have the sort of a gentle audacity, I would say, to just to like, okay, I'm holding myself, you know. So undergoing the training, then Othello happened. And then I must tell you this story because it is related to Nasir Saab. So Nasir Saab came to see the performance, and I was told just at the nick of time, I'm about to go to the stage, and Roy, the director, comes and says, "Darling, Nasir Saab aaye." I was like, "Why do you have to tell me now?" Oh, God, you know. And he's my teacher, and I was already sort of shivering. And then Nasirji and Nasir Saab and Ratnaji also came. So I was like, oh God, no. And then Roy said, don't worry, darling, you will be doing fantastic. I was like, how do you know that? I don't know it. He said, no, I know. I'm the director. I'm like, shut up, get the hell out of here. So anyway, I went, and then at the end of the play, I hid myself in the bathroom, in the bathroom of the green room, and I was thinking that I cannot face Nasir Saab. So I was waiting, and of course, then there was a knock at the door of my director. He says, Nasir Saab is waiting, you come out. And I came out, and there was this woman who suddenly crossed Nasir Saab and came towards me and said, who are you? I was already like, I was in 2000, and that was 1999. So I was
999. Adil, I will tell you 999 because Hiba was an NSD at that time. And let me tell you, I was in the audience as well for that show that you're talking about. Yes.
You're there.
Yes.
Okay. Oh God. So
That's the first time I met you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, at
Please
the
go ahead.
Habitat Center. At the Habitat Center. Yeah. So, so this woman came, and I was already 36 years old because I graduated from NSD at the age of 30 in 1993. So if you add another, no, more than 36, I think 93 is 37 years old, in 19, yeah, 36 years old. Sorry, my math is very bad. And so this woman comes to me and says, who are you? You are already so grown up. How come we haven't seen you on the stage? Who are you? So then on my behalf, Nasir Saab responded, oh, he had been hiding there. I've been telling him to act, He's been going to this jungle and blah, blah, blah. He started scolding me. Come here, you bastard. And he gave me a hug. Oh, God. That was like, he'd been hiding. I'd been asking him to act, and he's not acting. And now look at him, come here. And then, so that was probably one of the best compliments that I've ever gotten, from my teacher who I revere, who taught me, who had taught with so much of passion and love that I cannot, I cannot ever repay. The only way I can repay is to act better and better, and make him hopefully proud one day that I'm like, okay, Adil, you're good. So that happened, and that sort of gave me that courage, which much needed courage within me, for continue to work and face audience, because I was scared. I was terribly scared to face audience. So then that happened, and then after that, again, money became issue. So my teacher Arjun Rana said that, okay, I'll train you, and you come, and I'll train you to speak in whatever standard English and British English and American English, and then you can join G Capital to earn money. Yeah, so that's what I did, and I did it for 6 months, I guess. Then I got an offer from BBC World Trust Service to play this role, Jasus Vijay, which is the lead role in this series. And I started earning way more money than I could ever imagine. Like per month, I used to get 3 lakhs, which is like, wow.
And that too at that time.
At that time, yeah. So that happened, yeah. So it continued, and then I was up to my neck or to my head or above my head with the kind of dialogues that I had to speak after you acted in best in the scripts written by the best of in the world, and then you can't keep saying "doodh ka doodh, pani to karna hi padega" all the time. So I could not take it anymore. That you know the kind of so I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah, I've done Chekhov, I've done Kalidas, I've done Babu Bhuti, I've done Vijay Tendulkar and Mahesh L. Kunchwar and all these amazing writers, and then somebody is sitting in Bombay writing those lousy lines, and I could not take it anymore. So I said, I need a sabbatical. So I started training three of my three of the students who I trained for some months in NSD. They wanted to work, so I said, okay, this is a good time for me to detox myself and go to Hampi again. Now with my students as a guide. So I went there for 6 months, but ended up staying there for almost 3 years. I almost thought that I'm going to settle down there and never going to act in television or movies ever in
How
my
was your
life.
lifestyle in Hampi? Like, wow, where were you? How was the lifestyle? How was your room? How was the place, your accommodation?
I mean, it was very simple. We didn't have any electricity or running water, so we made some huts. We lived in huts, and we had for no mattresses, just a piece of sheet, cloth, and a pillow, and 1,100 rupees a month we spent on food and anything else. And we worked from 5 in the morning till 10:30 at night. Woke up at 4:30 and work. And mostly it's hot, so it's bare body and a dhoti, tied up properly and work. And that was it. We ate twice a day because we couldn't afford more than that. With the money that I had saved from Jasus Vijay, that we built the huts and we built the kitchen, and then we had Khalid gifted me his tempo traveler. I also had my own small little car and a motorbike, so that we can travel and go to different spaces in the entire 17, 18 kilometers, square kilometer to work with the rocks and the water bodies and the wind and all that. So that also, I had to spend the money for that as well. And I did not, of course, take any money from the participants, though they were from different parts of the world. Australian, New Zealander, American, German, Danish, French, and Austrian and Indian. So because I was learning from them, so I could not charge them any money. I was learning more than I can teach them. So that continued for 2.5 years. And then again, I got invited to act in the same play, which I did in 1997 in Amsterdam, first time when I went. And they revived the play again, and after 10 years, because that became a big hit in Holland, all over Holland. We performed in 70 different towns within like 1.5 years. So we went there. I went there again and got married. Before I came back and started my married life in Delhi in 2008. And I started teaching seriously in NSD after that. Yeah, it's
Right.
a long story. I don't think it's very interesting.
No, it
Uh,
is very
uh,
interesting. Adil, come on. It is everything you say is like one is just glued. You are not just an actor, you're a speaker who can mesmerize his listeners, his viewers, his audience. They want to, we want more from you. Yeah. Adil, before
you're very
we move
kind.
ahead on this, I would like to know your association with Lucian, because Lucian, I worked with her in her plays, G Saab Ji, which she wrote, and she wrote about her father. I was a manager for a brief while as well. So I would like to know your association with, and her sister, incidentally, Lynette Dubey, had directed me. She had come to my school, Lawrence School, Lovedale, to direct the Founders Play, Woody Allen's Don't Drink the Water. And
Yeah.
yeah, so how was your association with Lucian? Tell us that.
Well, I had no idea who she was because I was in NSD and then I went abroad, came back, never interacted with anybody in Delhi theater apart from the teachers who came to teach us in Delhi. Those were permanent teachers and visiting faculty. So I didn't know who she was, and but then realized that she has done a lot of plays in Delhi. Worked with a lot of theater directors, including probably Barry, John, and everybody else. So Barry John was my teacher. So Barry played Iago, and when I heard that, I was so scared. I was like, no, I can't act in front of Barry. He's like a mountain. He never moves. He's like solid, Himalaya, in front of you. And so then I saw this woman called Lucian Dubé. She introduced me, and then we she was very kind, very nice, and we worked in sync for a long time. And then after a certain point of time, she probably had some other things to do that she discontinued to play the role of Desdemona. There came who is now current, who is my wife now, and my love of my life, Kristen Jain. She was cast as Desdemona, and we fell in love in the process. And and I would like to grow old with her, if I can, if I can do that before I grow old. If I pass and go away, I don't know, but I'd like to grow old with her. So that happened. Solution was a delight to work with.
Christian is such a wonderful lady and one of the most elegant, graceful, and a gracious lady. In fact, I remember when my wife and I we had come over to your place for dinner. You had made this amazing meal which you had cooked, and in fact, Kabir was very small that time. It was like he was
Yeah.
sleeping, and she was looking after like a good host as well as attending to Kabir at the same time. And she's an amazing lady, and please say hi to her. And Christian, if you are watching, hello, big hello to you. Yes, Adil bhai, please.
Sorry, come again.
So we were talking about, and she, of course, I mean, she did better in her to play the part. And as a lot of love stories happen during rehearsals, theater, after that, same with yours. So, and touch wood, God
Yeah,
bless you
yeah.
guys. I love the way
No,
you describe
absolutely.
her.
Yeah. I- I'm one of the I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world to have met her. And then, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, very much, very much.
No.
Both of you are lucky to have each
Um,
other.
I'm yeah, one of the luckiest guys, and to be able to communicate in that deep level. She's a wise person, and I realize now, I guess, in the tradition of getting married, I mean, marriage tradition across the globe, generally, you are advised, especially in India, I know, that you should marry a younger woman than you. You know why? Because women, they mature way faster than men. So, so she's so wise. And amazingly, as you rightly described, that she's amazingly graceful, very wise, very, very down to earth, simple, austere. Anybody can, it's like a personification of a woman that I would fall in love with, or anybody would fall in love with, I guess. Yeah. So I'm extremely lucky to have her as my partner, my soulmate, whatever you call. And yeah, we are happy. We are even more in love with each other after 15 years of marriage. We're discovering more about each other. Yeah, touch wood. Um, yeah, what else can I say? She's an amazing singer. She's very shy as well. And so she does not like public, she doesn't like that I'm talking about.
I, I can
I
so
have to
get it.
stop it.
I can so get
Um,
it. I can so get that.
so,
Because
and
we have something in common, and same thing
yeah,
with my wife. She wouldn't like me talking about her in public, and We also got married in 2008, and that's the year I finished my 5 years short service commission stint in the army. So, and in fact, when we were getting married, it was
Right.
like in the theater circles, it was very big news. Adil was getting married, and we were like, oh wow. In fact, the day Kabir was born, I still remember that afternoon, and it was among all your students a buzz. And Dhruvesh, one of your students, messaged me straight away. I've been blessed with a baby boy, and that's the time I dropped you a message. And but you obviously you had got so many messages, so many this thing, but you were kind enough to respond to me, and you promptly responded. Thanks a lot, and it was great, Adil. So I'm like really loving this chat with you. I'm like really enjoying. And also when you work with Barry, so Barry also had this thing that that he was known as okay, ye Shah Rukh Khan ke teacher hai. That's again one tag which comes with Barry. So and a lot of people, and of course Shah Rukh Khan also. I mean, he used to hang out at NSD. His father was looking after mess, and he grew up there basically. So
Yeah.
so tell us about the association with Barry, in fact.
Oh dear. So Barry was this icon, theater icon, and on the other hand, Nasir Saab there, who I consider the trailblazer of actors like who doesn't look like the so-called heroes in Indian film industry, and who Omji and Nasir Saab, they were our idols, who made it, who gave us courage that okay, it's absolutely okay to try to dream, and who had the skill of an amazing fine actor. So it doesn't have to be that you have to be somebody's son or somebody's relative in order for you to be in films. And also the parallel cinema movement helped them as well to the Sham Benegal, Govind Nihalni, Mrinal Sen, and and Gautam Ghosh. All these amazing filmmakers were there for them to take part. So Barry was this first year, he started teaching us, and we all were in awe. He was extremely handsome man, and all the girls were drooling over him. and and then he takes off his shirt, and in the banyan he starts doing this warm up, which will exhaust us, but he is doing it, which will make us exhausted completely. He doesn't sweat. And then the most, I'd say, the bizarre fact about Barry's class is that he never spoke. He spoke rarely one or two words here and there in the entire 6-month session. He would just describe exercise and he would just sit and watch, including that a play that he did, he never directed. He just sat there. So it was 6 weeks of rehearsals, and probably he spoke like 20 words in the entire 6 weeks. And we were all terrified that, oh my God, what are we doing? And he's not directing. So we decided that, okay, he's not going to say anything. So we have to take charge. So we took charge and we did the play. It became a hit. And that's what he was teaching us, that, hey, you can do it. I don't have to tell you what to do. So he was making us autonomous. He was giving us confidence, and he was giving us this courage that you can do it yourself. And you have to just listen to each other. You have to just be in sync with the other. You have to constantly be aware of your co-actors. You cannot just do something and look at the director like, ab batao kya kare. You cannot depend on them. You have to be constantly. So that just opened my eyes. And when I was told that, but we used to be very scared of him, not scared. It's like, he doesn't talk. So what do? If you say good morning, he will just look at you, but not unpleasantly. He'll look at you and acknowledge the good morning, but he wouldn't even say good morning, or maybe he would say, depending upon in what mood he is. And then Roy says that, Barry John is playing Iago. I said, no way, I can't do it. And he remained like that. He would just do his part, and he would do it in such a way. It's almost like the only metaphor which comes to my mind is like he is doing his part in order for me, the co-actor, to receive it. He would be like a jugalbandi, and he
Right.
would do his part, and he gives it to you, and there is no ego, there is no proving a point, there is no one-upmanship, there is no smartness, there is no way that he's trying to prove that he's an actor, he's a teacher, he has to act well, no fear of failure. All that he did led me, he basically groomed me as Othello by his Iago while he was performing Iago. So it was a gift. So he gifted me Othello by playing Iago, you know, and I cannot forget that. And that's only, I think that's the only actor I know so far who I had worked with, who is so generous and he's so giving, that incomparable. Yeah.
Tell me,
I
had you seen?
can go on about Barry for a long time, but I'm just saying that, so what else can I say?
Had you seen Laurence Olivier's Othello before you went ahead and performed it?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So it so happened that when we first performed Othello at the British Council on the 12th of March, I think in 1999, uh, this Shakespearean actor called Stephen Burkoff, who
Of
came
course.
with his performance to Delhi called Shakespeare's Villain. So he saw Othello, a morning show, especially performed for him because he was busy in the evening. So he saw, and we had lunch together at the British Council lawn, and he said, "You reminded me of Laurence Olivier." I'm like, I knew of Laurence Olivier, but I've never seen Othello. I read a little bit of Laurence Olivier. So I was like, me, okay, wow, Sir Laurence Olivier. So I looked at Barry or somebody that, are you talking about him, me, or, he said, no, Adil, you reminded me. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But what are you saying? You know what I mean? And then later, when we came back from Edinburgh, then Barry and I decided to watch it, Laurence Olivier, Othello. Then I realized, okay, why he was saying it, because he had this sort of a kernel, kind of a very raw energy, that absolutely wildness in his performance. So, and the Othello that sort of took shape through my performance, through the performance that I was helped by all these amazing people around me, director and Barry and other co-actors, that had that wildness that, you saw it. So I can, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Amazing, because Laurence Olivier, I think that's the best compliment one can ever get. Because I personally regard him to be the best actor in the world. Because if you see his Hamlet, he's totally different. As Othello, he's totally different. As Laurence Olivier, he's totally different. So, I mean, I was like, that is the kind of a performance which I've always looked upon, and I was like, wow. And of course, let's talk about Royston Evil. I believe you are very old friends. You are batchmates, and you go back a long way. And I'm also intrigued to know that since you are in Kerala right now, is he also there with you right now? No.
No, I wish he was there, but he lives around 9-10 hours drive from here in North Kerala. But he's much more than a friend. He's my family. He's my brother. He's my best friend, or whatever you call it. And he actually got me married. He sponsored my entire marriage because I didn't have a penny for myself. He even paid for my whatever I wore in my marriage. He paid for my airfare and everything. So he basically sheltered me in those days when I had just 1 rupee in my pocket. So he's way more than, my brother even, So he's my, yeah. So he played such an important role because he pushed me a lot while playing. You can do better. You can be more. You can be truer. You can be more genuine. You can be more authentic. So that push which came from him and his vision of Othello was that I tried to fulfill. And then while fulfilling, something came which is probably he didn't even imagine. So it was a co-creation with him, with Barry, with the other co-actors. And so I am totally indebted to him. We are family. His daughter now is staying with us for last so many years in Delhi. So it's like that. Yeah.
I've learned so much from Roy myself, and he used to be there for all of Nasir Saab's exercises, and he used to be an observer. And after the exercise, we would sit over a cup of chai, and he would tell me, with his Roy's deep voice, his "ना भाई, ये बताओ तुम ये exercise में." So I was like, okay, I have to now tell him. So it's like the way you were telling me when you were shooting for Ishqiya with Nasir Saab. And
Yeah.
after your shot was over, Nasir will tell you, ये kya tha? So and you have to give an explanation. Kya tha? Kyun kiya? Uska वजह क्या है? What is the background to it? I want. You would know what I'm talking about. All right.
आखिर ऐसे क्यों चला गया है? God.
Exactly. ऐसे क्यों गया? ऐसे क्यों नहीं? Like, अब now what do I? इसकी वजह क्या है? कोई खास वजह? What's the background to it? And you're like,
Yeah.
so let's talk about when you did a lot of films. In fact, your English was very popular with Sridevi, in fact, and we will come to that as well. But we would like to know about your association on Ishqiya, because I was reading one of your interviews where you were mentioning that you discussed most of your time with Nasir Saab on the set discussing about the craft, and Nasir Saab told you that very few actors, in fact, literally no one, you were one of the first ones who could actually come to him and discuss only about the craft instead of just wasting your time and gossiping and talking small talk here and there. You would actually discuss about the craft, Nasir Saab. So we would like to know about your association with Vishal Bhardwaj, with Nasir Saab, with Vidya Balan as well.
No, Vishalji was not there because he was not the director of the film.
Of course, he was.
Yeah. So he was shooting some other
He
film.
was producing it, yeah.
Yeah, so I was lucky that Nasir Saab was around, and of course, he was staying in a better hotel, and I'm a new actor, so they put me up in another hotel. So I used to go to his hotel in the evening after the shoot. He would call, "Kya kar rahe ho yaar? Aa jao." So I'll go to his you know, go to his room and sit and ask questions, because I'm so many things I need to know. So many things I need to understand, because he worked in so many films so far, and that was my first film after I stopped acting in films in 1989. So I was unfamiliar again with the camera. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Of course, because camera is a different medium altogether. And on the stage, you're trying to reach out all the time to the last audience. The camera is coming toward you. It's reaching you instead of you reaching out. So it's a huge difference. I mean, unless you're in the habit of it, you will keep making the same mistakes, trying to reach out, doing it for the camera. But so I was asking questions of all kinds, and he very, very patiently kept answering this inquisitive actor, and probably he was very happy to hear these questions, and not necessarily he had answers to all the questions I asked, because he was also searching, and that's the greatness of that man, that in spite of me being his student, he would ask me questions which I am supposed to answer. यार ये आवाज मेरा बैठ जाता है, तुम करते क्या हो, उसको जरा मुझे बताओ. And he would make me do an exercise, make me do an exercise for him. Yeah.
This is exercise, right?
All that. So many of them. So And I was like, wow, look at this man who is learning, still learning. And that's why he is what he is. That's why he's revered across the actors community, whoever is not a star kind of an actor, but actor who loves the craft of acting. So he was very happy. And at the end of this 10 days that I stayed to shoot this, he said, so far you are the only actor who's asking me questions, and we are talking about craft. I'm like, what else do you talk about otherwise? Yeah, one can talk about some trivial things, and once in a while, I understand. But we are supposed to be this, we are supposed to be in love, a practitioner of the art of acting, and you have this amazing actor in front of you. What else do you do? Well, we can talk about how usne ye kiya, usne wo bola, uske bare mein flana kiya, dhimkana kiya, but those are so boring and so not interesting. Sometimes gossips are interesting. I don't deny it, but for how long? Maybe 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, let's talk something which is so beautiful and which is art. Yeah.
That's why, I am not letting you go at all, Adil bhai. आपकी मुश्किल से तो आप पकड़ में आए
Yeah,
हैं.
you have to
मैं
go.
कुछ से doubts हैं, सब clarify कर रहा हूँ आपके साथ. Can you learn so much from you? So, when we were shooting for Agent Vinod together, in fact, I had the privilege of dying and being shot by none other than Adil Husain and Agent Vinod. So, जो आपकी
Oh,
गोली लगी
really?
वो, and when I fell down, so I genuinely got hurt. But later on, and I was like, okay, I am acting with Adil Bhai, and Adil Bhai has referred my name, and he has suggested my name. I better be on my best term first thing there. So you came up to me and you said, "What a fall! What a fall! क्या genuine fall थी यार, when the film comes out in a minute, you see." And that made my day. I was like, yeah, इतना ही काफी है. When someone of your stature and your caliber and style is complimenting me, ये क्या genuine fall करी, भाई वाह, what better? And that's what you told me about Brett, you'd be doing a Hollywood project and about Life of Pi, and then you had told me about. So tell us, let's come to your Hollywood stint. Let's talk about where it was and which is a dream for every Indian actor, in fact, every actor in the world, in fact. So let's talk about that, Adil bhai.
I'm not sure every actor wants to act in Hollywood. I'm not sure about that because there are a lot of actors in ठीक है ये वो लोग जो कर रहे हैं हम तो ये ठीक कर रहे हैं. ऐसा भी बहुत सारे actors मैंने देखा है, सुना भी है. Well, as I said, that things happened to me for me, and as I said, I'm ever grateful. That also happened. I was asked for an audition. I said, okay, which film? Life of Pi. Life of Pi. Okay. So I did it again. And Dilip ji, who did the audition for me. And then I was asked to meet Ang Lee in Bombay. I came and met him. And after a week, I got a call from New York saying that you're playing the role. I was like, wow, one audition. And that happened. I never thought about it, that I would be doing it. Because I was, again, as I said, I reluctantly came to do films, Ishkia, very reluctantly. I didn't want to, but I did it because I thought, why not? Chalo karte hain, ek film to karte hain. And that became popular, and that people liked my performance. I remember Nasir Bhai coming to our home with one of his friends, I forgot, for dinner. And I cooked. So he asked me, so any other proposal came after the release of Ishkia? I said, no, it hasn't come. It takes around 6-7 months. After that, people will look for you. Don't worry. The fallout takes around that time. I was like, I'm okay. I'm happy teaching in NSD. I don't have to act in movies. I'm happy that I did it. He said, no, it will come. I'm sure about it. Don't worry. And then, of course, Agent Vinod came, and then this happened. And I was like, okay, why not? I would have done for free, what do you call that? Life of Pi. but they paid me 25 lakhs. I was like, hey, that's quite an interesting amount of money. You know, then later I realized I could have asked for 1 crore. I didn't know. I didn't have an agent.
My
So,
God.
but as I said, that I would have done it for free. It was Ang Lee, and I loved his Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Brookback Mountain, and all these amazing films that he has done. So there's no question of not doing the film. Even if you'd have said that, sorry, Adil, no money, I would have done it. So that happened, and that became an iconic film. And I'm so lucky, as I said, I'm lucky to be a part of these amazing films that has happened, including English Winglish, which is such a beautiful film, coming straight from Gauri's heart into the narrative and the filming. Became such a popular film till today. I think a few days ago it was. This is the 10th year of English Winglish, and working with Ang Lee, or in my first Hollywood project, was an eye opener. That how sincerely and how diligently and how meticulously that they plan to do a film. They plan it to the point, to the T. Nothing is left to chances in terms of planning. And then they open up the possibilities of magic. What we do is that we don't plan. And then sometimes magic happens, sometimes mediocrity happens. And most of the time, I would say 75 to 90% of the time, mediocrity happens because of not knowing what the hell we are doing. And there is no way that they will let a film fall beyond 80%. They cannot. That is the bedrock standard. 80% is there, and then beyond that, 101% left to the synchronicity, the moment of the magic which will take place then. But no chances of unnecessary mistakes that we think, oh, we are spontaneous. No. Like raga, you have to learn fully. You know all the notes. Like when Bhimsen Joshi sings, he knows everything. And yet the magic happens when he sings the same note again. That is the kind of rigor, discipline that Indian film industry do not have. And I'm saying it publicly now, openly. I think 100 years to come, I'll doubt that we'll have it. Because we don't have it within us. For some reason, the younger generation, those who are now 12 years old, or my age, my son's age, they might learn this rigor, which is in the classical artistry in India. That 12 years of practice, 40 years of practice, then you can become Allah Rakha Khan or Zakir Hussain or Bhimsen Joshi or Ustad Maj Ali Khan or all these amazing great artists. That cannot happen just like that. Writing is not there, in performance is not there, it's not even in the thinking. Forget about achieving it. You don't even think about doing such hard work. Where can you create it then? So it's mediocre, and it's sad because we have such amazing stories that we can tell. We have bhandar of stories. It is there in the folk theatre. It is there in the classical theatre, like in Kathakali, in Kudiyattam. Even in Nautanki, it is there. Such amazing storytelling. Yakshagana, it's in Terkuttu, it's in so many folk performances, classical theatre performances. But we don't have it in modern theatre even. In very few places. People like Khalid, one, or two at the most, that who has gone through that rigor of theatre, of such meticulous rigor. And in realistic theatre forms, Nasir Bhai, Ratnaji, very few that you can count. And it's a pity that in a huge country like India, we have one or two names, which is sad. Tragedy. I wouldn't say sad, it's a tragedy.
True, Azbhai. Azbhai, when you were talking about Life of Pi, when you got the deal, it reminded me of a small anecdote that happened with me as well. I had finished my 5 year stint from the army, and I had gone and studied at IIM Calcutta. So the campus placement that started, and this huge multinational company came on campus. And so they asked me, how much do you expect the salary? The HR asked me. So I quoted a very big figure, which I felt was wow. And if they agree to it, it'll be like a dream job. So they look at each other, they took out a document, made me sign it, and they agreed. So I got the job. So I came out from the interview room like a big James Bond, and I told my professor, so I've got a job, yes. So they looked at my offer letter. What is this? You didn't negotiate your salary or what with them? So I said, no, sir, look at, they've offered me a 6-digit salary. What more do I want? No, 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 no. You are an ex-forces guy and an IIM graduate. You could have got much more than this. And that's it. Learn too late, but learn the hard way. Because these are things which we learn much later on, but we're like, okay, it's fine. And like the way Agent Vinod, I could have done Agent Vinod free. Because I was getting to act with you. I said, I'll do it free. But then they were kind enough, the producers, and they offered me good money for it, and I was very happy. I was like, great. Okay, and your association with Sridevi. And Sridevi has been a huge iconic figure, a heartthrob of the nation, and everyone loved her, basically. So, and a very good dancer as well. So your association with her, how was it? When the first time when you met her?
Oh, it was first of all overwhelming because she's Sridevi and we watched her since our childhood. She started acting at the age of 13. So she was my age. So I was a teenager and she was a teenager, and like, my God, Sridevi, and then watched Sadma. I was blown by it when I was in my school days, I guess, and I couldn't eat for 2 days. I was so touched and moved by the film. So when I first met her, I told her that. The first thing I told her was that, after I watched Sadma, I could not eat for 2 days. I couldn't. I felt so sad. And she was very touched by the remark. I can see that in her face. And she was very kind, extremely affectionate, rather, I would say, toward me. And we improvised, and we sort of, she would suggest something, I would suggest something for the scene, and we would improvise, and then we come back to the script, and then we take permission from the director that can we do this way or that way. So it was a collaboration, and that you expect from your co-actor. It's a collaboration. It's not you. It's nothing to do with you. First of all, it is to do with the role. It's not you. Yes, you are playing the role, and forget about even the role. First of all, it is to do with the story. So the story is the star, and you are just serving there. You are simply construction worker of the story. You are building and you are a construction worker. That's the humility that one actor should have. And that's how you disappear. You forget your so-called personality, whatever you have in life, or whoever the hell one thinks one is. So to rub it off, to wipe it off, to erase that, and become a construction worker of this narrative that you are part of it. And that is, I felt that I was trying to do, at least, if at all it succeeded. And Sridevi was part of it. And she told the story from the director's point of view, because it is her story, the director's personal story. She wrote it herself. So you serve the narrative. You serve. It literally serve, like you serve. It's not like serving. It's nothing to do with that. So it was amazingly blissful to work with her. She is so genuine, so authentic. And she is truly an Indian actor. When I say Indian actor, because she comes from the background of dancing, classical dancing. So she understands the rigor of it. She understands the discipline of the journey of emotions, because she has learned the journey of gestures and hands, how to go from here to here to here to here. So that those transitions that she's so good at. And that's why people are mesmerized by her performance. I said this in one of the interviews that we haven't served her talent, except for very few, including that film is, I would say, English. Most of the films that Sridevi they did acted in uh, were not worthy of her talent. It was not written well enough for her. It was not a good field for her to run. She is at par, according to my understanding. She could have been like worldwide recognized, not only amongst the Indian diaspora, but amongst the entire world, like Meryl Streep. She is at par with her. She has that capability. But we didn't have those writings. We didn't have the films to facilitate her talent. That's what I feel.
Right, you're right. You mentioned about Sadma. Sadma, I saw Kamal Hassan, and I was like, he's one of my favorite actors regarding the craft. So he, Nasir Saab, Om Puri, there are few actors who, like as I told you about Laurence Olivier. So I would call them at par, because they were so versatile. Like Nasir Saab has played Mahatma Gandhi, and he's played Tarzan type role, like in Jalwa, He-Man. So he always said that an actor should have a physique which should be flexible. That's one advice he has given me. He said flexible means I don't mean in terms of movement, in terms of breakdance. Flexible in the sense
Yes.
of your feet should look strong if you need to look strong. It should look weak if it has to look weak. And so he gave me example of Tarzan and Mahatma Gandhi. One should be able to play both. I was like, yes. And Kamal Hassan again. So I would put you in that category, Adil Bhai, and not just me. A lot of people. And I know, I mean, it's been, see, आपके साथ बात करके 1.5 घंटा कैसे निकल रहा है मालूम नहीं पड़ा बिल्कुल भी मेरे को. 2018 में आदिल भाई आपको नेशनल अवार्ड से नवाजा गया था. So tell us about your national award when you went to receive the national award. How was it? Obviously, must be a very, very proud moment, of course. I don't know about that.
No, it was very unexpected, first of all, because I didn't even know that our film was competing, and which I should have assumed that they would have submitted it for national award. Yeah, so I was shooting somewhere else in some other country, I think. I got a call from a reporter that, you have gotten this special mention for Mukti Bhavan and Majrati Keteki. These are the two films which are there, and both the roles are so different. In one I'm playing a very successful writer, the Assamese one, who is very, 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 very famous, and who's come back to Assam to look for his roots, And the other one is this small town insurance clerk dealing with his father's grudges and problems in a small little room in Banaras just before the father is about to die. So it was like totally different. And so I thought, oh, okay, that's good. I'm happy. See, awards for me is validation or maybe inspiring, but it never had been my intention, because I don't know why, but it's because that I am already awarded by being cast in that role, that I'm getting to play this amazing role and written so well sometimes in Indian films as well, though I have been grudgingly saying that not written well. But of course, there are quite a few written very well. And this is one of them, Mukti Bhavan, and written by a 23-year-old person, Subhashish Bhutiani, and directed by Subhashish Bhutiani when he was 24 years old. So he's again an amazing director, an old soul in a new body kind of a person, Subhashish. He reminds me of Ang Lee quite a lot, actually. So I was very happy that this role, these two films and these two roles are recognized by the National Film Award Committee, because quite often I've seen they got given awards to people. I'm like, that film? Really? That actor? Really? Wow. I'm not saying it should be given to me, but not her or him either, It's a national award. It's not a Filmfare award, for God's sake, to give to something, very generic acting and generic role and a very generic film. So I was pleasantly surprised by, like, oh, okay, they're doing a good job, at least. But I felt in that year, one film or one actor who should have gotten at least one of the prizes, either the best actor or the award that gave it to me, was Manoj Bajpayee in his role for Aligarh. I think he did a phenomenal job. And I was so surprised that that film wasn't even in the competition. It was not even taken into consideration for competition, which was very surprising for me and disappointing. And that's why it was not such enthusiasm came to me. I'm like, what about him? What happened to that film? Why that film was not even considered? You see what I mean? Because was it because he was playing a gay when a playing a gay role? Was that the reason that it is not being celebrated? It's an amazing film. I don't know whether you have seen it or not. People, those
Of
who haven't
course.
seen it, must watch
How
it.
could it be? How could it be? How could it
Manoj's,
be? I don't see
Manoj's,
it. In fact, when
yeah,
Aligarh was being planned, that time Hansal Mehta and I were in regular touch. In fact, they wanted to shoot
okay,
in Aligarh when my father was the vice chancellor. You visited Aligarh, in fact, when my father was a
yes,
VC, and you did a workshop with the theatre students over
yes,
there. And they
yes.
till today they talk about, they are so overwhelmed by it, Adil bhai. They learned so
So
much from it.
I was pretty disappointed that Manoj didn't get any of the awards, which was really disappointing, and I hope that doesn't happen anymore. Anyway, so it was pleasantly surprised, but also at the same time, I felt like there were more deserving, actors, or the roles, the way he played. It was heart touching. See, I cannot judge my roles. You cannot be objective about your own roles. So they found it worthy. Okay, I accept it, and I'm in gratitude. But I felt that if I was one of the jury members, I would have preferred that role than my role.
I know. Talking about Manoj Bajpayee over here, Manoj Bajpayee acting in Bandit Queen as Daku Man Singh. And that Daku Man Singh, Shekhar Kapoor initially wanted Nasir Saab to play that role. Daku Man Singh's role, which Manoj Bajpayee played in Bandit Queen.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued to know about one thing. Tigmanshu Dhulia was doing the casting for Bandit Queen, and he got Seema Biswas, who's also from Assam, to play Bandit Queen, and then Nirmal Pandey was from NSD. He came. A lot of NSD actors got their breaks through Bandit Queen. So where were you at that time, Adil bhai?
I don't know which year was that actually,
It was somewhere in
when
the
it was
mid
being made.
90s, I guess.
I was on my motorbike with Khalid in some jungle.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Because your motorbike is fancy. I have had the fortune of sitting on it, not ridden it though, but and the big petrol tank that, in case the petrol runs out, you should have a big
Yeah.
petrol tank. It's like a modified, it's an
Yeah.
amazing bike. Amazing bike. In fact, you went to meet Nasir Saab once. You just did a ride of over 1,000 kilometers or something, and you went with your face after a long ride, and you were meeting him on the side. You told me that story.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
आदिल भाई आपको छोड़ने का बिल्कुल दिल नहीं चाह रहा है मगर I know you're tired. I'm not tired, but you're busy. You would not you never get tired, but आपके साथ गुफ्तगू में I'm just hooked on. I'm just gripped,
We can we,
telling you.
we can do another session later, maybe.
Yes. Oh
All
God,
right.
Adil bhai, love you, Adil bhai. You are
Love
so
you too.
awesome. You're so amazing
Yeah.
to be in conversation with. There's so much to talk to you, and you are one actor I feel who one can just sit and talk about history, geography, sociology, philosophy, politics. You name it. You just name it. One can just converse, go on and on with you. You're so well read,
Yeah,
so wide.
you can only talk to me about acting, because rest of the things I had to know because I had to act so a little bit, and I'm absolutely not a student of history or economics or political science. Or I get to know them because I need to know them a little bit here and there. Yes, we can talk about acting all night, all day for next 10 years. I have no problem.
I love that. I love that. So on that note, one more thing. Since I perceive you to be this big Gyani Adil Bhai, you can talk to about him or anything. So is it because of your preparation, say Stanislavski's way of doing something? Like if you were to play the role of an economist, you would study about economics.
I
So
have
tell
to,
me
yeah,
about
I have to. Yeah,
when
yeah.
you were first introduced to Stanislavski, about his teachings, his method, and about talking about the craft now. Something that you love.
Yeah, no, but I think we are way above time, no?
Okay, all right.
Uh, we can, as I said, let's do another session one day.
One more.
It will
Yes,
be part one, and we can do part two, and then we will
absolutely.
talk about the craft, the Stanislavski and Grotowski and Mayhold, and and Nasir Bhai, and his craft and all technical things. Yeah, we can do that.
Lovely, Adil bhai. I love you. Yeah. I mean, it's
Thank
like
you.
इतना मजा आया आपसे गुफ्तगू में वाकई में. I really
आप
enjoyed every bit.
आप कहाँ रहते हो आजकल? दिल्ली में,
मैं
बॉम्बे में?
गुड़गांव में हूँ. I moved in the pandemic. I moved from Bombay to Delhi in the
Okay,
pandemic, and I set up this online public speaking academy. And I
okay.
must tell you one thing. I was shooting in Assam in Kaziranga for Boga Khedki, which Janu Barua
Ah,
has directed.
yes, yes,
And
I
Sia
know. Yeah.
Biswas and Verifa Vahid, we were there. भाई एक दिन नहीं हुआ सेट पे when we would not talk about Adil Husain.
You guys bitched about me. Now
No,
me.
no, no, come on, have a heart.
I
Lot
know.
of
So
love, Adil
sweet
bhai.
of you.
Big
Thank
head
you.
hug to you. You are so amazing.
Appreciate. So let's get together once I'm in Delhi.
Great, great,
Let's
Adil
meet
bhai.
up.
Look forward.
Okay.
Look forward.
All right. You take
Bye.
care.
Bye, Adil bhai.
Bye.
Thank you for taking
Bye.
your
Bye.
time.
It's okay.
Bye. Lots of love.
Pleasure.